Some places hold things inside them. Not memories, not history, something active, something that waxes and wanes with the moon. She had been trapped inside the house they called the Shadows for 5 years.
She moved through her old museum room and she sat on the bed and she let the anger move through her like a tide. She thought about the Smiths, the last family to live here, the reason she was trapped. She thought about their daughter Tyra, who was 18 now. On the next full moon, I will gain enough strength to break through that crack and escape. The nights crept past. She watched the moon wax from her cracked window, night after night, brighter and more full of the power she needed.
When the full moon came, she stepped into the window and let it hit her. She glowed.
She walked to the crack and she raised her fist and she punched through it. She kicked. The hole grew. She kicked again until the gap was large enough to step through.
And she stepped outside for the first time in 5 years. Whatever she had become, in that one moment she was just a child who had finally gotten out. She stepped forward lightly, preserving her energy. She had targets. The Smiths lived 15 minutes away, by ghost travel. Across town, in the large Victorian house with polished floors and stained glass, Tyra Smythe woke from a nightmare, a face in the dream, pale, bright, nauseating. She lit a candle and stared into the flame and tried to scry. Nothing in the flame, but when she looked straight ahead, there it was, in the corner of her eye, a vision in the glass. She called her best friend Evelyn first thing in the morning. Evelyn, she said, she's out. Evelyn had been her best friend since 8th grade. She brought nails. They went to the back of the house and grabbed wood from the shed. They carried it to the front.
They hammered the boards over the window, one by one, until the whole frame was sealed. It was a message. Tyra hoped Abigail would read it correctly. She was walking home, books under her arm, knitted hat pulled low. She was unaware of anything.
She grabbed the largest thing on the wall without thinking, and she moved toward the sound. The girl tried to run. She was fast, but you cannot outrun a ghost on a full moon night.
The books hit the frozen ground. The girl did not get up.
She dropped the weapon. She ran back to the shed, and she sobbed, not with tears, but with a sound that was close enough. Tyra woke to voices outside, detectives, an ambulance, blood on the frozen ground, dark, abundant, soaking into the frost.
It was Abigail. She was trapped inside the shadows. She's out now. The legend says she'll want revenge, not just on me, on all of us.
And then Frank went to the shed. He came back 2 minutes later. His weed whacker was missing. 2 hours later, a woman named Leslie walked up the path to the Smythe house. She had not received any message. She came because Margaret had invited her weeks ago.
Abigail's ghost stood directly behind her, invisible, and then she stepped into Leslie instead.
They served sandwiches. They served tea. They caught up on Leslie's life. Abigail sat inside Leslie's skull and listened and waited and learned the layout of the room. And then something moved behind that smile.
This house will be the next Shadows. If there's another murder. I sure hope so.
Abigail, this isn't worth it. You don't have to kill.
Frank had no choice. The monster would have run. He pushed her down the stairs. The door slammed shut.
Tira was already going for the wooden nails. Board after board, crisscrossed. The beating continued as they worked. It did not break through.
Why do you want Tyra so much?
Years of torment in the shadows. I already hated the world because I died young.
The following day, as Leslie finally drifted into a deep sleep, something in the room seemed to settle. The strange tension that had surrounded her was gone. The following day, while Abigail was somewhere else, Tyra drove to the shadows. She had a specific purpose: intelligence. She walked every room. She let herself remember, 5 years old, her mother warning her about the stairs, the mold, the cold. She went to the museum room. She walked every room. That evening, Frank was driving home in a winter storm. He looked at the gas gauge, almost empty. He decided to take the shorter road, the one that passed the Shadow's house. When the rain didn't stop, he ran for the house. It looked terrible, missing shingles, cracks, a sinking moat of mud from the rain. He pushed open the door. He found furniture covers in the attic and lay down on one. He watched the rain hit the window. Then he heard the back door shaking. When the rain didn't stop, he ran for the house. It looked terrible, missing shingles, cracks, a sinking moat of mud from the rain. He pushed open the door.
Frank.
Headlights appeared. A young farmer named Gary. He pulled over. Frank got in. He was safe.
Abigail appeared in Tyra's bedroom and she was tired. Not physically, but in the way that only comes from doing the same thing over and over and never feeling any better. Give me the letters, and I will leave you alone. I just want to stop all of this. No, I don't trust you. I have the remains of one. They had gone for the letters at the same moment. Tyra was faster. She ran for the living room with the stack of old papers clutched to her chest. Abigail lunged for her hand and caught her shoulder instead, knocking her down. She pinned her to the floor. She slapped her. A voice seemed to echo through the room, impossible to place. As the letter disappeared into the fire, a wave of warm air swept outward. You can forget these. I want you to stay away from this house, away from my family, away from this town.
Abigail began to chant. The flames shifted color, blue, then violet. She was doing something with what was left of her power, cursing, making her last mark. Tyra threw the rest of the letters, all of them, everything that remained, into the fire at once. The flames went white.
She turned blue, and then she exploded. Not violently, but like a held breath finally released.
Dust went everywhere, ancient dust, and then nothing. The fire crackled on, perfectly ordinary, just a fire now. She had kept her promise. Come morning, the ground around the Smythe house was covered in dead birds, dozens of them, fallen from the sky with no warning, no visible cause. Gary called to say some of his cattle had died overnight. Abigail had cursed the town. 6 months later, on a bright summer day, the new Shadows opened to the public.
Tyra came on opening day with Gary. She walked through every room. She let herself remember. She sat on the replica bed in Abigail's room.
In the gift shop, she picked up the poster. She stared at it, and in the corner of the window, in the painting, she could see a shadow. She put the poster back. She took Gary's hand. She walked out into the summer light.